Call the meeting to order, please.
Mrs. Rigby,
Here.
Mrs. Gillis,
Here.
Mrs. De Silva,
Here.
Mr. Melody,
Here.
and Mr. Valentine.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Ursham?
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Marshausen, Mr. Kern, and members of the Board of Education. My name is Troy Ursham. I'm principal at Abraham Depp Elementary School, and we are the home of the Trailblazers. And we have quite a few Trailblazers right here, and these are students that blaze a trail for a program we have at Depp called Depp Delivery. So I'd like to introduce one of our advisors of Depp Delivery, and that's one of our intervention specialists, Brianna Huffman.
Thanks, Troy. So this is a monthly activity that provides students with the opportunity to interact with their peers, to put together food, drink, and supply orders to deliver to teachers at Depp. So this is an opportunity for students to be leaders in our school, learn economic skills, and work collaboratively with peers. And now we've brought Depp Delivery to you. Thank you so much.
Oh, can you stay up there, Josie?
Yeah, you can stay there.
And we'll wait till everybody's lined up. Wait a second.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I would like to give you guys the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Caden. And students, we're going to come over here to get a fun picture in front of our Dublin City Schools board with our Board of Education. It's Board Appreciation Month, so we want to thank our Board of Education for helping serve our students and community, and we're going to get a picture with.
Oh, sorry. I am sorry.
We're going to take a picture.
There we go. You got to be in the front.
Yep.
Come on.
All right, and I on. You got it?
All right. And Troy, and before we take the picture, I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to introduce themselves. So.
Okay.
What's your name?
I'm Nick. Alright, are you guys ready? Smiles on 3, 1, 2, 3, cheese! Awesome, perfect.
Okay, Mom's Come scoot up. Yeah, good luck. Anybody else wants one? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Have a good evening. I know how much they all want.
Ready to get going? All right, approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Melody. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Silva. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Melody,
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby,
Yes.
and Mr. Valentine.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Oath of office for the Vice President.
Since we didn't get a chance last meeting here, we'll allow us to Mrs. Gillis here as Vice President. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Lindsay Gillis,
Do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties as Vice President of the Board of Education for the Dublin City School District, Franklin, Delaware, and Union County as Ohio.
I do. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you did. Didn't you? You can see look on your face. Yeah, you can see it.
Totally.
You can literally see you calculating. It's not like you're waiting.
That was pretty funny.
Sorry, I set you up for that one, right?
Congratulations, Mrs. Gillis. Awards and recognitions.
As we continue in January, it's still School Board Appreciation Month, and we have a little gift for you on your table. There's a Padfolio with our new logo. Inside is a list of our upcoming events, meetings in the district, hard copy of that, and there's a spot for business cards in there. We'll have new business cards made for each of you as well, and you'll get those soon. Our students recognized you last month, and we just wanted to continue celebrating. We've been doing that on social media, posting little bits about each of you and celebrating our appreciation toward our school board. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on to public participation. Nobody has signed up this evening. Reports and action items from the superintendent's office.
Just a couple of brief updates. First of all, and Jeff will go into some more detail about this during his report, but as everyone's aware, we had a sewer pipe collapse at Scioto High School, 12 feet underground, not easily accessible. And thanks to Mr. Starks and his team, our teachers and staff and administration at Scioto High School for their response to the events that happened last week, and the Waterworks and our external partners. And Jeff will give a little bit more detail, but I would be remiss to not compliment our team from Mr. Stark to the custodians and the teachers and the secretaries and our students at Scioto High School for the way they responded to what could have been a very disruptive process. We kept teaching, we kept learning, and we had a educational week, which is ultimately what we want to do. So thanks to everyone involved there at Scioto. there were several articles over the last 2 weeks in the Columbus Dispatch about the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority and steps being taken by the Columbus City Council to bring affordable housing to the region. And one of the things that is concerning to us as a school district is the Columbus City Council seems to be bringing affordable housing on the backs of suburban school districts. There were 2 initiatives in the last week, and Mr. Kern and I met with representatives from the city of Columbus via WebEx last week. One, the Copperleaf apartment complex was sold at about half market value to a developer who then sold it to the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, which now plans to turn it into Section 8 housing. But since it's a nonprofit, we go from receiving tax dollars to receiving no tax dollars, while we still get the students who come to us from that apartment complex. There's also proposal for 203 units in the site of the old Premier Fitness facility. Claims from the city of Columbus are that this is affordable housing. Only 20% of the units are affordable housing, but it receives 100% tax abatement for 15 years. So again, we're going to get students and no tax dollars. And as a district, we want to be clear, as one of the most diverse school districts in the state of Ohio, that prides ourselves in the education that we provide to every student who walks in our doors, we are not opposed to being part of the housing crisis and issues that are facing Central Ohio as a region. As a member of the Governor's Workforce Board, I understand the need for affordable housing as we expand our workforce and as Intel and other corporations come to the greater Columbus area. But for the school districts to be the ones who are paying for the affordable housing, and to be clear, in any municipality, the largest portion of anyone's property taxes are the school districts. So when there are abatements and economic agreements without consent and conversations with the school district, we start to have problems. And just to be clear, this isn't how we operate and how we've come to operate. The city of Dublin has always understood the partnership between the school district and the community and the business community. And as we have these conversations, our partners in Union County came and talked to us last month, are making adjustments to their plans as we look at expanding residential housing in the northwest quadrant in our school district. But for us to get the 14-day notice and to be told you should have known because it was a public meeting. Yeah, there was a public meeting of the Columbus Housing Committee on December 7th. Wasn't something we're all tuned into, but we may have to start being tuned in, and we may have to start taking a stand and letting the public know what the intent is of the administration in Columbus. So we're going to continue the conversations with Columbus. We're going to continue the conversations with our business and political partners in Dublin. And we're also starting conversations with all of the suburban superintendents, because the quote from the developer at that December 7th meeting, which we were able to now watch online, is that they want to put affordable housing in school districts with better resources. Well, no one has better resources than the Columbus City School District. What they mean is they want to put affordable housing in districts that get results, that educate the kids and get students ready to and prepared for success. So it's going to be something that we have to continue to follow. I brought it up at the BAC meeting, bringing it up here in this public session, and just want you all to know it's something that we're going to continue to work on. Our community meetings, we've been busy. Last week we had key communicators, PTO presidents, and BAC, where we shared the focus areas from the strategic plan, and we started to have the iterative process for a title for that plan. Still haven't hit that title that we're like, yes, this is it. Great feedback from those groups, both productive feedback and positive feedback in the structure, the simplicity, and the way that the strategic plan is setting up. Tomorrow we have our stack meetings with our teacher advisory committees. Tomorrow at 11 we have a special senior council lunch. Unscheduled. This is an extra meeting because we want our senior citizens to have the opportunity to be part of these conversations as we look at those focus areas and the guiding principles and the work that we do there. We'll have a little lighter group. Many of the folks on our Senior Citizens Advisory Committee are someplace warmer now. So we'll see how many that we're able to get and how many. We're between snowstorms, so hopefully they'll be able to make it. There were originally on tonight's agenda some policy recommendations, but due to concerns that were raised and conversations that I've been having with some board members, President Valentine and I decided today that we would remove those policies at this time. We're going to send those policies to the policy committee to review some of the language. As under Ohio Revised Code, the school board really does two things. You hire the treasurer and the superintendent, and you adopt and approve policies. This is how you govern the school district, through the two of us and through those policies. So to have those policies right and to make sure that we've taken the time and the consideration for those policies to make sure it's what you want as a board, I've got no problem saying let's have the policy committee meet again. We'll have Jessica and legal counsel there, and to make sure that the policies that we bring for a second reading and eventual adoption reflect what you as a board want those policies to have. So Mrs. De Silva, Mr. Valentine, Janet will be getting in touch with you and working with Mrs. Schwanke to set a policy meeting, hopefully before the next board meeting, if we can get that pulled together. On Thursday, we have two community conversations. The community conversation in the morning at the Chamber of Commerce is just our traditional, we'll share the guiding principles and the focus areas, get some feedback from anyone who comes, and then just let people fire away and we'll answer questions and provide information and have a conversation. On Thursday evening here, we will have from 6:30 to 8 a community conversation focused on early literacy. Our team met on Friday to go through what will probably be about a 20-25 minute presentation on where are we, how have we gotten here, and what are the things that we are currently doing in the Dublin City School District related to our early literacy focus. We will then have a panel that will take questions from attendees. So we will have 5 or 6 people, including 2 elementary principals, Michael Meyer, who leads our work with Orton Gillingham, Kim Reynolds, a couple teachers, so that we will have a group here that will be able to answer questions and provide feedback on what we're doing with our literacy focus. We also have a date then in April where we'll have a similar setup with our safety focus. And I think it's important as we look at how we engage our community. These are topics that engender some emotion. When we talk about our own children reading, we're passionate about our kids reading. When we talk about what we do in schools, with little debate, the most important thing we do in elementary schools is teach kids to read. The most important skill for future success is the ability to read. So rather than having 3 minutes of public participation at a pop with people coming up and telling us what we're doing wrong with literacy, to have a specific conversation with the experts in the room to be able to dig deep is what we want. You are all invited to watch what happens on Thursday. It's a public meeting, and you are all invited and are able to be there at that public meeting to witness and to hear everything that happens. We are also at that meeting, every question will be captured, and every question will be in the form of a question and an answer. And our presentation will be available online after the meeting. So if anyone is unable to attend, the presentation will be there, and then we will have a written synopsis of the questions that were asked and the answers that were provided by our team. so that we'll be able to share that with anyone who would like to read that and see that and is not able to attend. Okay, does anyone have any questions, comments that I can provide answers for? Thank you very much.
Treasurer's Office.
Just a few things on the agenda this evening. We have a couple of appropriation changes there again, the local grant funds and the 9019s. DEF awarded some grants and some teacher grants again. We're so gracious of that. And then the Audubon Conservation, I'm not sure what building that's related to, but we're always glad to get those. We have our annual summer school transfer. As we do try to break even as best possible, we do not with some of the required work that we have to do that we can't charge for. So we do have an annual transfer to the summer school fund. As you can see in the executive content, you kind of have the analysis there of what happened this past year. And by the way, $35,000 is what was planned in the 5-year forecast that you approved back in November. So right on track there. Talking about being right on track, our December financial report is there. As we're tracking on what was budgeted and revenues and expenses, slightly better at this point in the year, which is always good. I know I keep bringing it up. We're starting to receive tax advances from Franklin County as they look for first half real estate taxes. As Dr. Marshausen mentioned, we are locally dependent. Over 80% of our funding comes from property taxes. So, you know, we'll always monitoring that and see how that comes in. So, and then our last thing here is a donation from Dublin AM Rotary to Thomas Elementary. And the question a board member had was how was the building selected and go through. I know, for example, I believe Old Sawmill was last year, but Dublin AM Rotary works with our academic team. I talked to Lori about that a little bit, and they kind of select a building that's kind of in need and then work with that media specialist from that building then to select the books for that library. So it's on a rotation basis, and they work with our central office academic team with that. Any questions?
All right, there being none, is there a motion to approve Treasurer's recommendations for items 6B through 6E?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Rigby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Silva. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Rigby?
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis?
Yes.
And Mr. Valentine?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Reports from the Department of Academics and Student Learning, Dr. Schwanke.
Okay, before I begin, I'm actually going to toss it back to Dr. Marshausen for an important update.
I forgot to mention that Mr. Ireland is not able to be with us tonight. He had a health emergency. Our prayers are with Tom and a speedy recovery. His report is attached to the board agenda and board docs. And one thing that we can celebrate is that Scioto High School had the most applicants of any school to tolls in their early and their first chance application process. And when you look at those numbers, our team is doing a great job communicating with students and families the opportunities and pathways that are available. And talking with Dr. Hoadley today, believe it's the first time that one of the Dublin schools has had the most applicants in the first chance application process. So thanks to our team here, our counselors and our principals, and the work that we do to make sure that students find the right pathway and the right opportunities for them to be prepared for success. And as we go through, we'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated on Tom's progress, and we'll keep you updated on where we are with tolls. So Dr. Schwanke, thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to say a word tonight about the Enrollment Center. The Enrollment Center is something that not a lot of people think about unless they're enrolling, but it is a group that does a lot of really important work for our district, including enrollment, obviously, residency verification, custody issues, working with the courts on divorce situations, work permits, TB test requirements, transcript, early entrance, proof of residency, and remain situations when there's a move mid-year. So they are very, very busy over there. We actually moved them out of Emerald Campus earlier this year. We needed the room for our Emerald Campus administrators, and we moved them into 7060 Kaufman Road, which is just past our preschool. The office space turned out to be not a good working environment, so they temporarily moved to DCS Virtual into some office space. And another shout out to our operations department, who did a fantastic job working quickly and giving us a full refurbishment of that building. So what used to be a conference center that we used for small tech professional developments is now functional. It's secure, and it will serve our community well. It's an easy way in the very central part of our district for people to go and get enrolled. So thank you again to operations. That was easy compared to what you did in the last 2 weeks, I think. Thank you. You'll also notice tonight we have another addition to the table. Mrs. Lori Marple is here, and I'm so pleased because what we'd like to do is do a better job of highlighting what happens here in the Department of Academics and Student Learning. I think there can be some confusion sometimes. I oversee the department, but there's two magnificent leaders here, Mr. Chris Andres, who leads our student services, and then Lori Marple, who leads our teaching and learning. So every meeting will give you just a brief highlight of something that's going on in one of those departments, and I can't thank the two of them enough for keeping things flowing so well. So first, I believe it's you, Mr. Andres. Take it away.
I hope this is magnificent.
No pressure.
No pressure. No COVID updates tonight, thank you. This morning I opened my email and was pleasantly surprised to have a memorandum of understanding from the Educational Service Center of Central Ohio, from something that we've been working on for months and months, and a lot of people outside of the district have worked on, and that's the Afghan Refugee Parent Liaison Initiative. So, as many of you may or may not know, a refugee is an individual of special humanitarian concern to the United States who demonstrates that they were persecuted or have fear of persecution due to race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. At the end of last year, we had approximately 50 Afghan refugee students in our district, and so we had seen that number rise last year. When we opened this year, our number was about 70, and when we learned that the Educational Service Center had been awarded a grant, and 8 Franklin County schools would have the ability to use some of these resources, we of course jumped on board and have worked closely with them and their partner, us, together to figure out the best way to use those funds here in the district. So along with the support of our partner and their partner, Us Together, which is a nonprofit resettlement agency, starting, we hope, this week, we're going to have 2 full-time parent liaisons who will work with our students and with our families to help them during this resettlement process. Since the start of our school year, we've gone from 70 to about 120, so that number continues to grow. And when I was talking to Erica Stone, so under her leadership, all of this has come to fruition. You know, the question of why here, why Dublin? And one of them is because of our outstanding services to our English learner population, which I'm very proud to oversee here along with Erica in the district, but also partners like Us Together, the resettlement agency, One Dublin, the Dublin Food Pantry, and so many other community supports that we have here in Dublin. So education is definitely one reason, but just the Dublin community is number one. So I just wanted to give you an update. Those numbers continue to grow, and we continue to provide great service for those kids and families that come to our district needing so much.
Mr. Andres, is that 120 students, or is that family members or refugees?
Total students.
Total students. And have we seen that more of middle school, high school, elementary? I may be putting you too far on the spot with that, but just out of curiosity.
A little bit all over the place
Really?
in terms of ages and grade levels.
Okay.
Some families with just one child and some with many.
Wow, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's my pleasure to share the work of the teaching and learning team right now. After the last board meeting, and the approval of the handbooks at secondary. We entered what we call is advisement and scheduling season. And at secondary, middle school and high school, over the next month, our students and our teachers and our counselors will be hard at work thinking about their plan. And when I say plan, that's more than just what they want to take next year. We want our kids to think into the future, really thinking about their path and what that will look like so that we can help advise them and their families, can be a part of the conversations in determining what courses they take. I'm proud to say that our counselors, and anytime anything happens in the buildings, you have to say, and our principals and the teams at the buildings, are dedicated to meeting with every student as they finalize their selections between now and February 15th. They put those in a system called School Links. In the background, there's lots of hands that prepare the system, but I would be remiss if I didn't honor Jessica Sullivan, who spends a lot of time making sure that School Links is ready for our students to input their schedule alongside their counselor, so that we can start thinking ahead to next year. So a lot of preparation in place. We're always living in the current year, but this is the time of year where we're very much engaged in the future. Are there any questions about that process? Thank you.
All right, Department of Operations.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to just do a little bit about the Souter break. Dr. Marshausen basically said what it was, and I'm going to go a few, well, I'm very grateful and so that my name gets attached to it. What I found this week is, and I've never been accused of being warm and fuzzy towards things, so please don't tell anybody, but the slogan we have, "We are better together," is definitely more than a slogan here, and this really past week really showed it. So when I've had lots of pipe breaks in the last 30 years. This was my first where the pipe was 12 feet underground. Usually they're 6, and it's the first time that a full functioning building was along the entire 270 feet that we were looking for. So it was quite the thing to just define what was going on. And when I say we're better together, there's a lot of people that I just want to call out publicly that really we couldn't have done this. First, I want to start with Dr. Marshausen. Your leadership and support on this, his calm leadership on this, and the confidence he had in our team, and a bit like the Royal Air Force, clearing away any obstacle that I would have in my path to allow me just to focus on this. I also want to thank Dr. Schwanke. A huge, when we have a problem like this, as you can imagine, we're just trying to focus on fixing the problem, and we have 1 million calls coming in. And I asked her, can she be my one-stop and shop contact? And she had everybody calling her instead. So that's very grateful, though, because we were able to focus. Principal Tom Cochran and his entire staff were just fabulous. This was something that required lots of flexibility. It required a lot of understanding, asking them to do things a lot differently. And they also had to be good hosts to a lot of visitors they had. I think, I am going to ask Dr. Marshausen, I think I put in enough hours this week there that I get another high school diploma. So I might be there at the end of this year. So the custodial staff at Scioto, we always knew they were good. I didn't know they were this good. Special shout out to Chris Martin and Scott Millette. They were there 2 weekends in a row. And these are guys that we didn't say you have to be here. We said it'd be great if you could be here, and they just showed up. And one morning they showed up at 3:30 in the morning to get things prepared. I mean, these guys were just monster hours, anything we asked them to do. On the operations team, Shalina McConnell and Kevin Klinger both worked every weekend. They worked in the middle of the week. They were changing off hours. They canceled all these plans between coordinating multiple vendors, building drawings, and at times we had to procure special services within hours just to keep the project moving, and they were able to keep that going. And then our vendor partners. So again, better together. This is for one project. Sodexo, as you know, is our food service provider. They had to switch around all of their plans just to deliver the food on time and get food ready to go. Also working with us to keep the kitchen ready to go, because we're going to be making a lot of changes there this week to ensure we can pass health inspections. CLMS, which is a landscape provider of ours who also does some snow removal, we had, right where they had to dig for this to start the dig outside, there was literally a 2-story-foot tree right there. So we called them at 7:30 on a Friday night, and 12 hours later they were there in the morning to take the tree down. Miller Portables, they supplied the restroom facilities right away. Capital City Electric. PCS Crane, Shalene was able to contact them at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. We were told at 5 o'clock on a Saturday for work to continue on a Sunday. We needed these heavy 6,000-pound plates that you put down so trucks don't sink. PCS Crane came through with us, and Sunday morning they delivered. They found out the school was in trouble. We're a big name in the community, and they really wanted to help out. And lastly, Waterworks. This was a team and a half, and they worked as a team. They had on site at any one time 15 to 25 individuals, and they really acted as one. They were very accommodating to our facilities, and their manager on site, Brad Shepard, his entire team really did well by us. So it was a week that, a couple weeks that maybe everyone wished they didn't have to have, but I will tell you, it was a pleasure working with everybody, and it really showed how a team came together, and it was quite something. Is there any questions on the break or anything else on that?
Thank you for your leadership, and obviously we all followed along by email and the pictures throughout the past couple of weeks and the phone calls we were getting. Nothing short of crazy and amazing all at the same time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo that gratitude also. I saw everyone working. I think I saw Dr. Schwanke coming out of the parking lot when I was dropping off my kids, and I think I saw Mr. Collier there, and everyone working all weekend, even on the holiday. So thank you for all that work and helping to keep our kids in school.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving on to human resources.
Good evening, Dr. Marchhouse and Mr. Kern, members of the board. Before I cover what's in the agenda tonight, I wanted to share that you are seeing the first of our hires for the 23-24 school year in tonight's agenda. We know, at least in our department, that there is a lot of competition for hiring talented teachers, especially those that work as intervention specialists. Within the following month, there'll probably be at least a couple of dozen offers around the Dublin area to hire intervention specialists, and we want to make sure that we're ahead of this process in anticipation just of that need. You're going to see a name on the agenda that may look familiar, Emily Marshausen. I would share with you that our superintendent has been absent from this process. Ms. Marshausen applied, was interviewed, and was selected for a position in Dublin because of her skill set and interview with myself and Mr. Andrus. You will also see that Deputy Superintendent Dr. Schwanke is making the recommendation on the HR agenda tonight. So you'll also, on the certified agenda, there's a resignation on tonight for your approval. And then you'll see those 3 names for hire, all of them in our student support services area. There's a resignation of a 6-period pay class and then a continuation of an unpaid leave of absence as well. Our summer school coordinators are on tonight's agenda as plans are underway for this program to start at the conclusion of this school year. And then the attached pupil activity supervisor contracts and supplementals cover the majority of our spring sports as well as music programming. There's also 1 ski club chaperone on tonight's agenda as well. And then moving on to our classified agenda, you'll see 5 job descriptions that are on for your approval and okay, and then 2 retirements. Frank Franchini will retire as a bus driver with 16 and a half years in our district, and then Suzanne George will retire as a secretary from Scottish Corners with 13 years in our district. And then we have 5 new hires on, along with 3 salary changes in this part of the agenda. The last item is a stipend, and there's a single one on, and it's to approve the EL summer reading program, again, for the summer, which we start preparing for now. And that concludes my section. Any questions for me?
Any questions from members of the board?
On the job descriptions, are they new job descriptions or just revisions?
4 of them are new job descriptions. The last one was heavily revised, so we included in for your approval as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there a recommendation to approve items 10A through 10C?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Melody. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Rigby. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Melody?
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby?
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis?
Yes.
And Mr. Valentine?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Future agenda items. There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wow, that's took some effort. Moved by Mrs. Rigby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Silva. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and we are adjourned.